Hey guys, welcome to another commentary done by Diggity. Upper left hand corner, we got Tom starting as the yellow Zerg. Bottom left hand corner, we got Metodman starting as the pink Protoss, which is wonderful alliteration. Awesome alliteration. I should have said awesome alliteration instead of wonderful alliteration. I'm sorry, I've let you guys down on this cast already. I shall weep in a corner. I will repent by making this one of the best casts ever, depending on the game. This is going to be on Dominator. Other spawn is here in the right hand corner. We do have the inverted ramp, which means early game aggression can play very, very well. We'll see if Metodman... I would like to see Protoss actually open 2-gate a little bit more often on this map. But certainly I think Zealot openings off Gateway are fairly solid and can wreak a lot of havoc in particular. I am trying to remember a case, I vaguely recall a case, I don't think it was on Dominator, but it was on an inverted ramp map where I remember a particular match where a Protoss player managed to seal off the natural expansion from the main of a Zerg with some Zealots and do some heavy damage that direction. We do have a probe sitting out front with some minerals in hand. That's kind of cool looking. It looks like a little bee from that angle, but he's going to go ahead and drop a gateway on the front. This is more to blockade the front. I believe this was the pizza slices were originally introduced to try to blunt 973 or early hydraulic attacks. I don't know that they were extremely successful in doing so, because I've seen a lot of hydraulics bust on this map. In the meantime, we're seeing an 11 hatch here from Tom and Metodman with the probes. Maybe this is a peace offering, moving up with the minerals, going to see that hatchery in the early gestation phase. Dominator is a smaller map. I do believe it's still sizable, but it's smaller than, I believe, Radion for rush distances by 3 or 4 seconds. And so the Zealot should be able to get some decent damage here. And that spawning pool slightly delayed as well here from Tom, as I believe he wanted to drop it over here, but the probe getting in the way. Is he doing the attack? Trying to see, yeah, he's able to get the attack across the mineral line. Trying to soften up what drones he can. Let's see if he can pick them out as well. Diving a little bit too deep, taking a little bit of shield damage, but at least getting some interrupt overall. And the first Zealot on its way. I would honestly queue up a second Zealot immediately, but it looks like Metodman is going to play this mercifully and instead go for a Nexus immediately following Gateway, relying on his Zealot and probe to push back in any initial aggression. We do have a third drone, or I should say a third hatchery, preparing at the 1 o'clock. So yeah, Zerglings are just now starting. And this was what I was talking about, where the Zealots can get all the way in the main on this map before the Zealots are even spawned, which means this, in theory, should at least create some economic disruption in some cycling of drones, if not several drones killed here. So did that drone get picked off? Nice drill there by Tom. Really, really solid defense. Only one, it looks like a drone traded for the probe along that edge. By the way, the gas finished in the midst of this, but able to clean up that Zealot without too much trouble at all. Some excellent micro. That was beautiful. Nexus, cannon. The cannon actually away from the spawn a bit here, which does open up. So this certainly could get taken down, and I believe a Hydra standing out to this corner could also take this out. And this is also a funnel where the Zerglings, if they upgrade speed, could also get out on the map. Tom's drone count a little bit light right this second, but should build with increasing speed as we move into the additional stages. Tom's Overlord getting pushed back by that cannon. I think the probes recognize the threat, so they're fanning out and creating a preemptive wall along this left-hand edge just in case, while they don't have the Zealots or additional units to blockade here to the north. This is wide open. Is the Zergling going to make its way? I almost wonder if Tom thinks this is a bait. Are the rest of the Zerglings? He doesn't have speed, but yeah, he's got to see this and be like, okay, what's the trick? Cannon's still shooting at a distance. That actually was a misfire. Wow, actually. So the Zergling didn't even take damage. Meantime, Overlord Sneakin's going to see that Stargate. The probe at the 12 o'clock, able to confirm that third base. These Zerglings should be able to pounce on that probe and wipe it out without too much trouble. I think with just the 4 Zerglings, yeah, I think Tom, that was, honestly, I would see this, and 9 times out of 10 I would draw more. Oh, he's drawing the Zerglings down now. This still isn't a full seal. And now this edge is open. And we got a Zealot out of position. So we'll see what happens here. Another pylon dropping behind this. A lot of drones filling in here for Tom. Although several of them migrating to the 1 o'clock position. Layer tech finished, so it looks like we do have a spire, a 3-hatch spire opener. Likely into fourth hatchery. I'm going to be curious if Tom is going to go for the more Soma era. I'm going to call it Soma era. Cannon dropping to the south to provide a little bit of additional padding and defense. And a Citadel of Adun dropping underneath this. Do we have... And no... Okay, there's the second gas. I was about to say it's a little bit surprising to see that this early without a second gas. +1 weapons on the way. The Zerglings did get upgrade speed, kind of checking the corner edge. First Corsair making its way out will be able to confirm the lack of Hydralisks moving out into the map. And we do see the 4th hatchery dropped. I was about to say, is Tom going to play this straight up Mutalisk? Because for a second there, he wasn't at that hatchery. Had not yet plopped down. He had a lot of spare gas to work with. Might have built a lot of initial Mutalisks to engage us. Gateway near the main. The Zerglings still testing towards that front. Second Corsair making its way out on the map. 5th hatchery plops, so it looks like this... We'll see if this turns into 5-hatch Hydra. No Hydrosten's been plopped. I guess in Soma era, usually you plop down the Hydrosten a little bit earlier. Oftentimes, also earlier, you get the faster Overlord speed, I would say. Overlord bottom right-hand corner is going to get caught out. This Overlord going to get caught out. So Tom's going to end up losing, and this Overlord's actually vulnerable. Some Scourge should be able to make their way that direction after this, likely before that's spotted. That Overlord also out in forward field. So a lot of potential Overlord kills here. At least 200 there, and there was honestly more meat on the table, except Metodman unaware of the positioning. And the Corsair count's pretty sizable already. We already have 4 Corsairs out. One more Corsair, and the Scourge gonna have a little bit more trouble. Mutalisks are constructing behind this, by the way. It looks like the Scourge not gonna take any risk and move into position near the Overlords. That was actually very fast, so really prioritizing. I was off a single Stargate there. Continuous construction. You have +1 weapons and Zealot leg speed, so it looks like this is more towards that about 8-minute, 8:15 +1 Zealot move out. Earliest you can hit that is sometimes 7:30. Metodman now chasing down that Scourge. Needs to be careful that it doesn't lead his friends into... That Forge deserved that. +1 weapons complete. The Zerglings have drawn off the main. They might have died on the front. The Mutalisks have been built, but I don't think there's enough Scourge. But the Corsair are away from the Zealot line, so the Zealot's at least going to take a few hits for free. They should just continue that attack path. The Scourge able to eliminate at least a Corsair. And this is going to be a challenging situation now for Tom, as there's only the single Sunken Culling on the front. The Scourge getting another Corsair, and with that additional Corsair being popped, now Metodman needs to reposition. He broke off 2 Zealots. He's going to try to wind them around, taxing Tom's micro. These 4 Zealots, 2 of them scattering to the main. In the meantime, we have additional attack happening up here. These Zealots going to be intercepted by the Zerglings and the Mutalisks. And I don't know that these Zealots got a lot of drone kills here at the 12 o'clock. And unfortunately now for Metodman, he just expended the entirety of his Zealot. Well, in a moment he will have expended all of his Zealots, and Tom is actually ahead at the end of this in workers, which is very scary. Did not get a lot for that attack at all. Dropping an additional gateway. 3 Corsairs still active, more Corsairs constructing. Sorry, 4 Corsairs active, more Corsairs constructing. The Scourge count is now sizable enough as it is able to intercept a Corsair on the way. Yeah, I think the play for Metodman at this stage is he's not going to go for a second Stargate, but I think he is going to try to go up to that 8 Corsair count, or at least a larger Corsair count, and just start shredding Overlords as best he can. The Zealot at least providing scouting information, but the 4 o'clock base, sorry, the 4th base is instead getting built in the upper right-hand corner. 5 Corsair, is he gonna go Reaver in the space of this? I think this is for Observer. We do have a lot of Hydralisks starting to filter out of the bases at this stage. The Zealot sitting on the front, taking a little bit of damage. Another Corsair picked off, and some High Templar without enough energy for Psystorm, but Psystorm should complete momentarily. Need to start hugging that Nexus. This is very dangerous. You got 6 Mutalisks already out on the map. Need to be very careful with those High Templar. 6 gateways. Sorry, this is 8 gateways. 7 in the main, 1 on the front that was never taxed. Observatory now up, and we are still seeing, yeah, additional Corsair being plopped down. I think Metodman was anticipating a Mutalisk surge in the space of this. I don't know that he was expecting the Corsair switch around, which, despite this, he still got the robotics. He is holding off on building additional observers, however. Corsair count at least staying stable at 4 as the Mutalisks are now drawing back. Fourth base up. That will be an additional guess in Tom's hands, but no saturation just as of yet. This is still a challenging situation for Metodman. Metodman's army's been spotted by the Speed Overlords. Those same 5 Mutalisks drawing around. Maybe wanting to pick off some High Templar, but no High Templar here to pick. And if it's just Zealots and Corsair, and those... Okay, there's the High Templar. Unfortunately, the Mutalisk's not going to get a free shot. So, and this is a beautiful bunch. The Zealots eating a little bit of their own Psystorm, however. Mutalisk turning right back around. We have 1 Dark Templar in the mix of this as well. Overlord sneaking in from the rear. Try to negate that. Is he going to be in position to spot? Okay, he does spot it. I think Metodman recognizes the Dark Templar ploy was not going to pay off. He's also very light on Psystorm. Does not like being chased down by that Overlord, so trying to reposition. Some additional Scourge losing their lives. Metodman's actually at 50 workers, which would be great if he has a third. But since he does not have a third, that's going to cause him to mine out even more rapidly, potentially here. Army making its way back for it. Some Lurkers have complete. We don't have an Observer. Sorry, we do have an Observer. It's trailing. But it's still high ground to low ground attack, and we have a few Psystorms coming online. High Templar getting picked off. Another whiff of a Psystorm right there. That's a solid Psystorm, catching a lot of damage. And another Psystorm on retreat, able to catch a few, but that's all of the High Templar down except for 1. And I don't know that this one's long for life either. Additionally, the Corsair count has, at least it's stabilized at 5, but despite everything, despite the continuous construction, it's been having a lot of trouble staying online. Another High Templar on the front. Metodman getting pressed back. Tom overplaying his hand potentially a little bit here, moving this deep into his opponent's territory, but he's managed to filter out all of the Dragoons, and now the Zealots are just walking across the Lurker lines, although the Lurkers have been cleaned up. So we got an active army out on the map, no third as of yet. 4th gas and 2 additional hatcheries top right, and some defensive creep colonies and some additional Lurkers being planted. Tom is dangerously close to the supply count. Few Hydralisks making it past enemy lines. Might be able to force some cancellation of the cannons. I don't know that they're going to be able to force the cancellation of the Nexus. Metodman's army charging back to try to halt these Hydralisks, but we've got a counter force trailing it. And Overlords look like they're going to get picked off, which might open up some Dark Templar to make something happen, but the army a little bit trailed and separated here from Metodman, and it looks like the Lurkers are going to be able to create a wedge that push the bulk of this army away. Some of the Hydralisks losing their lives to the Dark Templar. They need to be careful with that Dark Templar. Yeah, he dies to straight up splash, attacking other units. And Tom continuing to press this down. He's moving another group of units to fill in and take out the Nexus behind this line. The Observer is now on the forward field, enough Dragoons to go ahead and clear this out, but the Corsair have been completely picked off on the forward edge. And we got more units scrambling forward to kill this Nexus as it spawns. So the Lurkers have been cleared up. It's nothing but Dragoons. Cancellation, now Metodman in a lot of trouble. He's a minute. Yeah, I was about to say the drone saturation where it's at, that's causing him an accelerated mine out at his main, and expect the same from his natural. Tom doing a pretty good job of creating these really chaotic engagements where the lurkers are getting a lot of free damage despite the odd positioning. And the Corsairs keep wandering out and getting picked off for free in a lot of these spaces as well. Now walking up to high ground, it looks like Tom just leaving those units to do what they can before they're getting wiped out. Metodman might be able to go ahead and grab the third at this stage, but Tom has already saturated top right. He's already making his way to... wrong base. Already... well, never mind. I was about to say making his way to Hive. He's got the Queen's Nest. Can grab Hive here. If he already had Hive, I was going to say that's 100% GG. Especially if he already has the Evolution Chambers in place. It looks like he's waiting for... He didn't queue up +2, actually. How are the upgrades opposite side? That might be a win condition for Metodman to sweep it the other direction, potentially, if you can keep a cohesive Protoss ball with heavy upgrades against Tom fielding smaller attack groupings with lower upgrades. There's the tech to Hive. There's an additional Evolution Chamber. Other Evolution Chamber at the 1 o'clock. Very late Nexus takes. Nexus take at 1620. Honestly, with this timing, Metodman might... it would be so risky, but he might even take the risk of grabbing this low ground mineral field, even though I've cautioned against that in the past. And we already see the Hydralisk's position to do so. Metodman's so starved for minerals. I don't know what other option he has. Clearing out an Overlord mid-map. That actually briefly does supply cap Tom, which isn't nothing here. He needs every advantage he can get. Tom was up 20 supply, but at least a small gap in supply differential being built. Psystorm able to clean up these Hydralisks. Metodman, okay, so he's got the upgrades. Might be able to bully up and at least force a cancellation here. And if he can get some solid Psystorms, he might be able, and if he can get lucky walking uphill against the lurker lines, that's the other question. Because he's going low ground to high ground here. As far as assaults, it looks like he's doing pretty decently and maintaining a decent amount of supply as he's carving through this. And a lot of this, again, is just on higher upgrades. Some Zerglings now fanning out. Now, did Tom overextend himself and not get the upgrades and have Defilers in time to cope with the counterattack? Gonna have to cancel this hatchery. More Zerglings fanning forward. I don't see reinforcements making their way across. Looks like they're being preoccupied. Very wise on Tom's part to try to make sure that this is a segregated attack force instead of a cohesive single attack force that's able to assault on a single front. Will make it easier to whittle down and cope with. The Archon gone, another Psystorm dropped. 3 Dragoons made it out of the counterattack. It is now looks like just Dragoons. And they're kind of making a battling retreat. I have a feeling once these Dragoons are wiped out, Metodman may call GG. Tom bravely mining in the space of this, almost daring Metodman to continue the assault at this location. More Dragoon reinforcements and a few Zealots sweeping up this direction. Some Zerglings morphing on Spite. A couple Lurkers morphing as well. Tom drawing back the drones now, recognizing the threat. Does need... okay, he's got the Defiler Mound, +2 weapons about to complete. And Metodman was able to wipe out that hatchery. That didn't stop the 4th. Yeah, and he wants to grab this additional base or some additional base someplace. So one problem solved. Was able to do a lot of damage. Was able to suppress Tom's worker count army count while he had that upgrade lead. But now things are starting to swap. +2 weapons, +1 armor. +2 spines. I need to be specific here. +1 armor completing. Where are these drones going? Tom is continuing to macro up, grabbing that 3 o'clock. We have some Zerglings waiting to assault anything that makes its way that direction. Metodman moving again on the map. Gonna regroup with these probes, but look at the vision from Tom. Already anticipating potential attacks, and as soon as Defilers are out, this is going to be a very difficult task for Metodman indeed. Metodman going catacorner, but there's a whole lot of sunken colonies and lurkers in place already. If a Defiler's built actually on site, I don't know that this would ever be successful. Plus 2 spines complete. And now Metodman potentially going to get trapped and swarmed. And not have anything to show for it. Adrenal upgrade is complete on those Zerglings as well. They're usually pretty decent against Dragoons. Yeah, there's GG. Not just a GG, a QQ from Metodman. Well played by Tom in this first game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for listening.